And so please take a comfortable seat, an upright seat. I am wearing my concussion glasses. It's going to be helpful for me to start this close to the screen. When we get going, I'll back away and change to my other ones. So please rest your hands in your lap and let your eyes close. If you prefer not to close your eyes, totally fine. You can just bring your gaze down so it's less focused and not a source of distraction. And first, I'm going to ask you to acknowledge the efforts you've made in being here, which required your commitment and some logistics and some communication with people in your life, including yourself. Now you have arrived. As you sense that, then also allow your body to sense the arrival of others. And though we're in this sort of funny digital universe, you could imagine the arrival of others in a kind of circle, like a gathering. And really allow your body to sense that gathering, that others have arrived too. And each of us in our own way is right now setting aside the activities of daily life, those that would be a distraction for our practice. And each of us is arriving here for the purpose of our practice so that our yoga then goes into our daily lives. It is not segmented as a part of life. It becomes the foundation of how you're living. So to sense this foundation now, what I'm going to ask you to do is begin to use the Ujjayi breath, but let's center the breath down for now in the first third of the torso. So really in your pelvis. You don't have to have the biggest breath that you've ever had. Doesn't need to be the most robust Ujjayi. Listen for the subtle sound of the Ujjayi. And imagine the pelvic floor receiving the inhale, it gently widens. Pelvic floor supporting the exhale, it gently tones. And try to get a sense of that pulsation for yourself in whatever subtle way you can tune into that. In the first third of the torso, in the sort of pelvic basin, on the inhale, it widens out, kind of like when you pour the oil into the pan, it goes out in a circle. In the same way, the breath widens out to touch the interior of the pelvic basin. Much like a circle shape, as I was saying, we gather together in a circle. Let's have the breath be circular, three-dimensional. Awareness the same, like larger and larger ripples of awareness, more and more intimate ripples of awareness. So to feel this in a very embodied way, the inhale widening into the pelvic basin, and then exhale causes that tone and a kind of gentle consolidation of coming towards the center. And try to sense this pulsation. Let's do 4 breath cycles more. Notice the tone and the pace of your breath. And the gentle pause in these breath cycles. And do that one more time, please. The inhale widens out in the first third of the torso. And exhale, the pelvic floor gently tones, and you can sense this concentric inward toning of the low abdomen as well. Now you might be noticing a kind of desire or the body craving that the breath could come up now to the mid-torso, and that is where we're going next. So I'm going to ask you to do it like this. Raise your left arm up alongside your left ear and make a slight side bend to your right. And concentrate now on the breath going from the first third of the torso, so down in the pelvis, and then coming up into the left side ribs. So in this case, you can imagine the breath massaging sort of asymmetrically, but also concentrically, like filling out underneath your left rib cage. And when you exhale, begin at the tone of the pelvic floor. Let that zip up the low abdomen and try to sense how the tone comes up towards your solar plexus. You could imagine that while you're toning the body for the exhale, that the inner body gets taller, right? Not that we tone and shrink, but you're going to tone and elongate the spine. With your next exhale, pull yourself upright. Release your left arm out to the side. Now take the right arm up, please. This is not the deepest side bend that you'll do in class today, nor the deepest side bend ever in your yoga practice. Just come slightly to your left and try to sense the interior of the breath, that it comes into the pelvic basin. And you're pacing the breath to include now the right hemisphere of the torso up under your right rib cage. And try to sense how you're working with that on the inside. 2 more breath cycles. So the inhale touches the pelvic floor, widens into the pelvic basin, comes up under the right rib cage. And that includes the back of the rib cage. So you're in the interior there. You can imagine the right kidney receiving the in-breath. And then when you next exhale, come upright. Release your right arm. Now you might notice that there's also a desire, a longing for the upper chest and heart to be a part of the breath. So I'm going to ask you to do this morning. Place your hands on your shoulders so that your fingers are just here near the pec minor. And inhale, first third of the torso. The middle third will be a lateral expansion, includes the back. And then into the upper third, try to sense that your collarbones will be lifted by the breath from underneath. Let's do about 4 breath cycles. And try to sense the smoothness of the breath. This is not the most robust or most assertive, and certainly not a coercive breath. Something more intimate, concentrically expanding in the first third, middle third, and upper third of your torso. And concentrically toning in the lower third of the torso. And coming gently up towards the mid-torso, but you don't have to contract the upper third of the torso for the exhale. 1 more breath cycle, please. And then release your hands to Anjali Mudra. And try to sense how just a few minutes of deliberately breathing, mindfully breathing, sensing this interior, how has this influenced your mind, your readiness for your practice? We'll chant Sahana Vavatu together. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Punaktu Savidyam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Punaktu Savidyam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Punaktu Savidyam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. And with your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. And release your hands. Please open your eyes. So recently I was listening to some podcasts to give information and also education to my yoga therapy training group and also my Hunger, Hope, and Healing recovery community. These podcasts included the founder of polyvagal theory, Stephen Porges, and he was talking so much about how helpful yoga is. And he was actually referring to yoga, including the Sangha, that we come together, we have a social engagement network with each other. He was also talking about pranayama, though he did not use the word pranayama specifically. And then he spoke about chanting, and he did use the word chanting. He didn't say bhakti yoga or nad yoga. He was saying how helpful it is to have these vibrations in the body to help kind of reset or revitalize the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve, and innervates your eyes, your ears, your pharynx and your larynx, your lungs and your heart, the diaphragm, and then below the diaphragm, it's innervating the gut, the whole sort of inner landscape of the gut. So I'm saying this because we're going to be using some chanting in class today. Thanks, Chuck. His name is Stephen Porges. Porges. He's the researcher and the founder of then polyvagal theory. He coined the term polyvagal theory, referring to a three-tiered nervous system, not only a two-tiered nervous system, but sympathetic dominance, ventral vagal parasympathetic activation, and dorsal vagal parasympathetic activation. So this is like subpar down here. This is activated, fight or flight, and this is optimal up here. It's called the highest evolutionary option when we're in that ventral vagal, because our evolution as a species depends on our collaboration, not on our fighting and fleeing, and not on freeze, submit, withdraw, collapse. Those are not options for us to evolve as an individual, nor as a species, as a society. So we need collaboration, context, perspective, a sense of the Sangha, the community. And we need less often the fight or flight, even with ourselves, and less often freeze, submit, collapse, withdraw, isolate. This will not help us to evolve as a species. I'm quoting him through my own experience of teaching this in yoga. So we're going to do some work with pranayama and neck and shoulders to help that 3-part breath be more encompassing for you. So I'd like you to come up to standing, and we can switch to my other camera, Susie. We are going to use some chanting in the practice today. Mostly we'll use the sound of the word hum, H-U-M. And let me take these off, I don't need them now. So when you come up to stand, place your feet as wide as your yoga mat. And just check that you're going to be comfortably able to twist and reach in both directions without knocking into the bookshelf if you're Chris. Or anybody else, right? You need the space that you need. Okay, interlace your fingers, please. And inhale, Ujjayi inhale, go from the first third, middle third. For the upper third of the breath, at the very top, please lift your chin and open your throat. And then exhale, push out and bend your knees to come down like a rag doll. Now inhale, raise the arms wide, come back up. And exhale down to the heart. We're going to add sound to those 2 exhales. So inhale, first third, middle third, upper third. Please look up. Now make this sound when you exhale. Ujjayi inhale, arms wide, first third, middle third, palms up, upper third of the breath. And this sound now, hum. So that word is spelled H-U-M, hum. Let's do it again. Inhale. Inhale, Ujjayi, arms wide. First, middle, upper third. Hum. Once more. Inhale. You now take the arms down. And when you inhale now, reach your right arm up and across, reach the left arm back. And exhale, bow down over your left leg to come to center. Then inhale, sweep the left arm forward, rise up. Little back bend right there. And then exhale, reach forward and left. Come down to center like a grandfather clock. Switch arms, inhale, right arm up, little standing back bend. Exhale. You're going to switch arms here in the center. Inhale, little standing back bend at the top. Exhale, reach long through there. And when you come down, switch and make the arms now a little more fluid with your breath at your breath pace. So it's your exhale that guides as you come down, no particular rushing. It's your inhale That will raise you back up. Doesn't need to be the slowest breath ever. Doesn't need to be the longest breath ever. But I do want it to be synchronized. And look for the back bend at the top of your movement. The next time that you come up to your left, go ahead and release and rotate back to center. Now raise your left arm, inhale. And with the right arm, I'm going to ask you to make these actually like a cross crawl pattern. So switch like this. Good. Inhale, rise up. Exhale. Inhale, float up. Ujjayi, exhale. Inhale, up. Beautiful. Last one. Ujjayi, exhale. Inhale, rise up. Now exhale, left arm down and side bend right. Inhale, rise. Exhale, side bend and scissor the arms. Inhale, rise. Exhale, side bend, scissor the arms. Make it rhythmic with your breath and your body. So there's a kind of fluidity to your movements. It does not need to be the same pace as mine. Now inhale, rise up, both arms. Exhale, right arm down, side bend left. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, left arm down, side bend right. Inhale to rise, 2 more. Exhale, right arm down, side bend left. Inhale to rise, Ujjayi breath. Exhale, left arm down, side bend right. Good, inhale, rise up. And then step to mountain pose. And just notice when you come into mountain pose, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and sense from within what is the ever concentric circle of being more intimate with yourself and the ever concentric circle of sensing the world around you. And so before we do the sun salutation, I'd like to just say that when we get to the sun salute, we're going to be doing table pose in one moment. We're going to go to cow pose and we'll use the lion's breath exhale. We're going to go to cat pose. We'll go halfway back to child's pose. We'll use the hum sound. Hum. So that's coming in your sun salutation. So please take 2 blocks and place them at the front of your yoga mat. This is for where your Uttanasana will be and also where your table pose is going to be. And then join your hands together at your heart. Okay, with your in-breath, Ujjayi, inhale, low third, middle third, palms up, upper third. And then exhale, Uttanasana. Energize your legs as you come down. Consider toning the deep, low belly by pressing your hands down into your blocks. Okay, inhale, glide forward up to your fingertips. Exhale, left toes straight back. Use the full exhale. Now inhale, first third, middle third, upper third. Lift your heart, look up. Now keeping your left arm, which one is it? I have to figure this out. Which are my arms? Yeah, keeping the left arm up. Sorry, I'm mirroring you guys. Okay, inhale to reach up. And then exhale, side bend. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, side bend to your right. Inhale, glide up. Exhale, side bend to your right. Inhale, rise up. Good. Now exhale, wide circle of the arms, come over, touch the two blocks. As you inhale, float your left foot forward, heart forward. And then exhale, step back with your right toes. Use the full exhale breath. Inhale, rise up, first third, middle third, upper third, look up. Good. And then exhale, we're gonna side bend to your right, left arm across. Inhale to rise. Oh, you're side bending to your left, excuse me. Inhale to rise. So the pelvis is really straight on and forward here. And the side bend is your rib cage and your upper torso. One more time, inhale. Some of you will feel your right psoas and your right iliacus, yes. Exhale. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, arms wide, come forward slowly. Please touch the two blocks and step backwards to downward dog pose. Okay, smooth Ujjayi inhale. Then exhale, forward to plank pose. Inhale to cat pose. So press down through both arms and lower your knees really slowly so the back body parachutes. Exhale to cow pose. Let's just test drive the movements of the spine here. Is cow pose. Inhale to cat pose. I know you have longer arms with these blocks. Exhale halfway back to child's pose. Keep the back body open like a parachute. Inhale, roll forward cat. Cow pose, lion's breath. Inhale, cat. Halfway to child's pose. Inhale, cat. Cow pose. Inhale, cat. Inhale, cat. Cow pose. Inhale, cat pose. Last time, child's pose. Inhale, cat pose. Table pose becomes plank pose. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. And then lightly exhale your right foot forward, left foot forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale to the heart. Let yourself stand really still. And we're going to use a different pace and a sound. When we inhale, it'll be this sound. When we exhale, so you're using some force. The movements will be a little bit faster. This is called adding rajas, a little bit of movement or motivation. And then we'll see what happens in the stillness that follows. So hands like this, and we go inhale up. Chair pose. Up. Forward. Forward. Left foot back. Rise. Descend. Step forward. Right foot. Rise. Down. Dog pose. Plank. Upward dog. Plank. Downward dog. Right foot. Rise. Descend. Downward dog. Plank. Upward dog. Plank. Downward dog. Left foot. Rise. Descend. Step forward. Bowing. Rise up to the heart. One more. Down. Forward. Left foot. Rise. Descend. Forward. Right foot. Rise. Descend. Downward dog. Plank. Upward dog. Plank. Downward dog. Left foot. Rise. Descend. Forward. Bowing. Rise. Heart. So sometimes we use a little rajas to move energy that's trapped in the body, to kind of move that out, to usher it out, like when you usher somebody out of a theater, we're ushering the residue out. Now we're going to go to the Ujjayi breath, and we're going to be specific. I'm going to turn my pose so you can see the profile view, because it'll be better for you that way. You can stay as you are. Okay, so this is for Parshvakonasana. We're going to take our time in this sequence. We're going to go slower and use the Ujjayi. So please join your hands together at your heart. Let's do Ujjayi inhale. Include the back of the body. Remember, first third, middle third, upper third. With your Ujjayi exhale, simply bring your hands down and turn your palms to face forward. Then inhale, as you're rising up, lift up the final part of the breath to the heart, then lift your gaze. Then exhale, come forward and down slowly to Uttanasana, completing your exhale by squeezing the belly like closing the harmonium bellows. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Take your time. It's a slow, intentional movement. Find the upper heart and collarbones. Exhale, take your left foot straight back. Turn both blocks up to the tall setting and pivot your left heel to the floor behind you. So when you press down into both blocks now, use the Ujjayi inhale to find the parachute of your back body. Even though you're in this sort of hybrid moment in a yoga pose, use your cat pose spine. Keeping your cat pose spine, reach into your left inner thigh, left inner heel, left big toe. Now, keeping your right arm strong, let the left arm dangle like the wisteria branch in the rain. And then start to raise your left arm alongside your left ear. And begin to rotate your pelvis to your left. Lengthen your right inner thigh towards your right knee. Rotate your lower belly to your left. Rib cage to the left. Rotate your heart to your left. Widen the left collarbone. Turn your gaze up to your left. Invite your eyes to gaze farther than your nose can turn to the left. And I'm going to ask you to hang out here. I trust you guys, you have a long time practice, and I'd like you to use the Ujjayi breath now for the internal exploration. So first third of the breath is in your pelvis, mid third in the mid torso, upper third still rises towards the heart. When you notice the tone of the exhale, start at the pelvic floor with your awareness. Observe what happens in the concentric inward circle of the exhale in the pelvis. And try to sense the elongation your exhale can help you with, particularly to the left side of your torso. Now keeping your right arm strong on the block, so you might even put your right palm flat for the moment. When you exhale, I'm going to ask you to do this really slowly. So don't turn the pelvis, rather bring your left hand, left wrist, your gaze, your nose, left elbow, left upper arm. Gaze back towards your left foot. Reach your left arm towards your left foot. So it's a strong cat pose spine. And then one more time, inhale like a big circle. Move your gaze, sweep your left arm, rotate, press into your right arm firmly. And then slowly again, rotate, not the pelvis, but your left hand, left forearm, your gaze, your nose. Now bring the left block into view for your left hand. Pivot your left heel up, and you can tip the two blocks down medium and step your left foot forward, please. Let's go ahead and enjoy Uttanasana for a few moments. Notice the differences in your body, left side to right side. Those are likely, you already have your imbalances, and then we did an asymmetrical pose. Now please step your right foot straight back. Turn the blocks up tall, right block and left block both. Pivot your right heel to the floor so it's lined up with your left heel. And press into both blocks to find your cat pose spine. We'll come back into your Ujjayi breath here. So this is really about the interior of your pose, not so much the exterior. As you make the left arm strong, invite the right arm to dangle. As I said on the first slide, it's like the wisteria branches, the wisteria tendrils outside in the rain. And then begin the process of reaching through your right arm. Press into your right inner heel as you rotate your pelvis to your right. Lengthen your left inner thigh. Rotate the belly to your right. Then your mid-torso, rib cage, liver and spleen, kidneys. Upper torso. And then as you gaze to your right, turn your nose as far as it goes. Invite the eyes to keep going. And now using the Ujjayi breath here, you want this to be something, your pose should have enough integrity and infrastructure that you can explore the Ujjayi breath. If that means that you need to raise the blocks higher under your left hand or take a shorter stride, whatever's required. Try to sense the concentric circle of the breath. The inhale does gently touch the pelvic floor and it widens into the pelvic basin and up along the interior of the right rib cage. And then up to the heart. And the exhale is a concentric toning. First pelvic floor, then the deep belly, belly near your navel. So keeping the left arm strong, let's begin the process, not of turning your pelvis, but bring your right wrist down, your nose, your eyes, right elbow. Gaze back towards your right heel, reach your right hand that direction. Again, keep the left arm strong. So you've got this broadening across the back hemisphere of the body like cat pose. And then reach through. Nice job. You're doing beautifully. Keep the left leg steady and begin to circle down. Upper torso first, not the pelvis just yet. Let's bring the right block back under your right hand. Find your cat pose spine. Then pivot your right heel up. Take the 2 blocks to the medium setting. And please step backwards into downward dog pose. And then roll forward to bring your knees down to the floor. And I'm going to ask you to reach for one blanket. If possible, you're going to take this blanket long and narrow, and you can roll it to go under your knees like this. Some of you know this already, that I'm using this position so that your hips go down in child's pose. It is okay to open the knees apart a little bit if you need to. Bring a block in for your head, please. So in this child's pose, when you touch the forearms down, which you can do, the forearms can go to the floor like this, you might notice that your knees are actually near to your elbows. Maybe they even touch. So relax the breath completely now and watch in the interior of your body. What are you creating, cultivating inside? Notice what happens in the deep low belly in your child's pose. You don't have to make anything of the breath right now. You can observe the breath coming down to homeostasis. Now what you can do, I'm going to turn to face you because we're going to do a little bit of a twist in this position, and I want you to see it from the front view of the camera. So as you are down, bring your, let me guess my right and left again. So bring your right forearm on the horizontal line of the yoga mat. Take the second block to put under your left hand on the tall setting. Turn your head to your left, and then twist your low belly, mid belly, and heart to your left, please. Now when you're twisting, try to get a sense that the right low belly is a part of the twist. So the outer right rib cage may melt down towards your right thigh. Try to keep the right hip heavy. And then you could choose to walk your right elbow closer to the block that's under your left hand. Something like this. I put my right fingers up on the block with my left hand, but the elbow comes about halfway towards the block. And as you're twisting, now try to see if the right low belly might participate in the twist a little bit more. And then right rib cage, including the upper part of the rib cage under your armpit. And breathe into the right side of the torso, so your breath is going in to make a massage in the right hemisphere of your body. Okay, and then bring the right arm back and cross your left forearm on the center line of the mat. Take the block for your right hand on the tall setting nearby. Turn your head to your right. And as you begin twisting to your right, try to sense not just that you're turning the right rib cage, but how do you help the left belly be involved in the twist? You can imagine the left rib cage sort of melting down towards the left thigh. And you might choose to cross your left hand about halfway over to that block, where your left hand goes up on the block with your right hand. And really go inside and sense, okay, now how is the breath a part of creating space in here? In the left side ribs, in the interior. And then as you exhale, release, and let's press up to kneeling. Put the blanket aside and take one block to sit on in Zazen. So you're actually sitting up on it. If you need to stretch your legs out, it's totally fine. Give the knees some circulation. You might do that by going like, oh, one-legged plank pose. And the other leg, one-legged plank pose. Take your time and then come back to Zazen, please. And rest your hands, palms face down. And then come into the Ujjayi breath and listen inside for what happens now. First third of the breath, concentrically. From the interior, second third of the breath, concentrically. From the inside, the upper third of the breath, also concentrically. Listen for that in your Ujjayi breath. Little pause at the top of the inhale. Listen also for the pause at the bottom of the exhale. Please do that for one more breath cycle, listening to the Ujjayi during your inhale, concentrically widening. During the exhale, concentrically toning inward. And then relax the breath, the Ujjayi breath, and just come to listening inside. And please open your eyes. I want to take you through a practice that you haven't done with me before. And this is to help open the pelvic basin some, to address the pelvic floor, the deep low belly, and then the interior of the rib cage. We're going to fold this blanket to pad the knees. And I'd like this to be somewhere on your blanket and on your mat where you'll have your shins supported by this blanket. The knees might come so that the kneecaps are just slightly forward of the blanket. This one we don't need. Please put a block to the right side of your mat, like this, and come up to your high knees, like so. So the pose we're going to do is based on a pose called gate pose, Padikasana, and also based on Parsva Konasana, the side angle pose. Balancing on your left leg, and if need be, you can use your block here as a little prop. Put your right foot up on this block, please. Okay. So what you have is your pelvis is hopefully relatively neutral, but it's not pointing straight ahead. You have to have a little angle on the pelvis that makes sense according to your hip structure. The left shin behind you can turn it slightly out. Because your pelvis is having a slight angle, let the left thigh match that angle. Place the right forearm on the crease of the right thigh so that when you come down, you're kind of using your forearm right here as like a massage tool. Press down. And you glide towards the right shin, right knee, like that. And then glide back. Bring your forearm in, press it down, and glide up. Some of you are finding your inner thighs. Your inner thighs are finding you. You glide back. Keep the right knee pointed in line with the third toe, please. Press your forearm down. On this little glide, root the tailbone, lift the pubic bone up. So we're not hanging on the right hip joint. It's not like a hammock. We are putting pressure down against the femur with the right forearm. But don't let the backside of the femur or the pelvic floor feel passive in response to that. And rise up. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to keep the right shin vertical or knock on the glide towards it and take the right arm down, left arm up, cross them like this. So a couple things to look out for. One is I'd like your right outer heel to still be grounded, right pinky toe still grounded. Use the outer right hip and your pelvic floor to help you root your tailbone. So you have kind of a cat pose spine, especially in the lumbar spine. In your side bend, each of the arms is reaching, kind of like the yin-yang symbol. And let the breath come into the underside of your left rib cage. Now exhale, root down into your right heel, left knee, float yourself up. Now it's kind of like warrior two, right? And then bring the right knee down next to your left knee. You can use your little support device if you need to. Okay, notice how different that is left to right. Let's check it for a moment in downward dog pose. Notice any sense of space you might have inside your right hip, or you can check the shape of the pelvic floor on the right side. And maybe you're just imagining the shape of the pelvic floor. You might not even know where to look right now, but you're following my words and it should pique some curiosity about that. Bring both knees down. Put the block on your left side for your left foot, and if need be, you can stand up your other block for your right hand. And then standing on your right knee, put the left foot up. You have a slight angle for the pelvis, so it's helpful if your back foot turns a little bit. So I just turn my right foot out slightly. Take the left forearm and press down in the crease of the thigh. Yes. Hello to the inner thighs. And we'll pulse in and out a few times. So you can, again, press down with your left forearm. And then glide. And one more time. We're going to stay this time. I'm so happy to see you making these efforts. Don't worry if it feels awkward or you're asymmetrical, anything. Right now the pelvic floor is asymmetrical. Your left leg is in external rotation. The right is in internal. The left is closer to flexion, right closer to extension. If you didn't follow that, please don't worry. Let the breath come down into the pelvic floor. And then glide back until your left shin is going to be vertical. Left thigh might be horizontal. Of course, your knee is elevated, so it might be a little bit downward slope in this direction. Lift the pubic bone. Your pelvis is going to be at a little angle right now. It's not going to be facing straight ahead. You raise your right arm. And the left arm is going to cross. So this is a side bend. We're not gliding the hips now. If you keep the pelvis stable, you'll have to encounter, it's the right psoas, yes, and the right iliacus. And then in the interior, like the right side of your psoas, liver, right kidney. On the back of the body, the external body, you have your right quadratus lumborum, latissimus dorsi. Now press into your left outer heel and tone the left outer hip. And then with an exhale, press down to start floating back up. Notice the circulation in the left leg and step your left foot down. You can use your block if you need to for support. And let's check it again in downward dog pose. When you reach back into your dog pose, notice the circulation moving in the pelvis, both left and right hip, left and right leg. And then touch your knees down. One more time, come to Zazen. You can sit, you can keep your blanket if you want to. Put the block under your hips, please. And put one block in front of you. I'd like you to test drive this. You might need 2 blocks in front of you because you're going to come down to this kind of pranam, like this. And I would like your head to be supported when you come down here. You rest your hands in your lap. Now you're sitting on a block for most of you. So try to sense, because the sitting bones actually are touching the block, you have some landmarks to sense the inhale into the pelvic floor. It's a concentric circle out, and the exhale, a concentric toning in. Now we're going to be using an Ujjayi inhale while we're up. We're going to use the hum sound to go forward. At the bottom of that exhale squeeze, I'm going to ask you to having toned the belly during the M sound, M, that at the bottom of that, you're just going to allow the in-breath to blossom into the body. And then we will inhale to come back up also. So that blossoming inhale at the end of the hum, at the end of the exhale, It's nothing, no Ujjayi, no fancy name, just that it's blossoming into the body. So starting here with an Ujjayi inhale. Using the hum sound. Allow the inhale. Exhale briefly. Ujjayi inhale, rise back up. Forward. Allow the in-breath. Simple exhale. And then Ujjayi inhale to rise back up. Once more. And the Ujjayi inhale to rise back up. And then rest your hands, relax the breath. Perhaps you can sense that there is neither an inner nor an outer circle. Neither a sense of self nor a sense of other. I'd like you to bring 2 blocks down to the floor so that we can move towards Shavasana, still aware of the sacrum and this lower third of the torso. So when you come down, please place the 2 blocks like a little triangle, like this, under the pelvis, so that the 2 points of the triangle go towards the tailbone. And the sides of the blocks are at the edges of your sacrum. Tuck the shoulders under, like a supported bridge pose. Using the deep low belly, gently float your knees up to vertical. If the blocks are unstable, readjust them so that they won't be unstable. Probably they have to come in a little bit closer to each other if they're unstable. So a little bit of pressure of the edges of the blocks against the sacrum. If you have the hamstring flexibility for it, raise your feet all the way up. Otherwise, you can go up part way, like I'm doing here, this part way position, or you can go all the way if you have the hamstring flexibility for it. You should not feel like you're using your hip flexors to hold your legs up here. Now, if the legs are straight, I'm going to ask you to bend them both like this and bring the right knee in towards the chest. Left knee in towards the chest. If the blocks feel unstable, you could either support them or make them closer. You could support with your hands or make the blocks closer to each other. Let the knees roll in. So you're doing this inverted child's pose again. And try to sense what's possible here for the breath. The most restful breath. You're not making the breath happen. You can roll the knees back up towards vertical, touch the toes gently down to the supported bridge pose. And you just did get a massage across the edges of the sacrum. So, I mean, you might like that. You might do it a couple of times. Just saying hello and thank you to the sacrum. And when you feel ready to do so, you're going to touch the feet down gently. Pick up both hips, lay the blocks flat, and put the trochanters now, the outer edges of your thigh bones, on the same block. So now your sacrum is resting between those two blocks. And when you pick up the knees, you've got this massage at the back side of the trochanter. And let the sacrum roll down towards the floor. Now the knees just gently helping to release the back side of the trochanters. Good. And then touch your feet down and stretch the legs out. We're heading towards Shavasana. So if you stay on these blocks, it's going to be an uncomfortable Shavasana after a few moments. But for the first few moments here, let this opening be realized straight across here. Notice when you have the two blocks, it's not likely that your feet have turned out. Like probably if you were to lift your head, you don't need to, but you could sense the legs are probably neutral in their rotation right here. And that would show up in your toes as also being neutral. You can just bend one knee to lift the hips, slide the blocks out, and come down to Shavasana. You can put the blocks aside, take the arms out. And I'd like you now to imagine an ever more intimate concentric circle. Sometimes I like to say, if you toss a stone onto the water, the concentric circles go out and out and out. And I use that to talk about the model of the koshas. I'm going to ask you this morning to imagine that you toss that stone in and the concentric circles are getting smaller, smaller, smaller as you follow the stone towards the sacrum to rest at the bottom of that body of water. Imagine the surface of the water, it gets smooth and glassy and clear. And the stone drops down and down and down, and you become more and more intimate. This tiny place of awareness just at the center of the bone of the sacrum from the inside, as if you were the stone that went down through the water to rest. And in that resting, let the mind become very quiet. You can imagine the inner sound. So allow yourself to rest in this most inner concentric circle, becoming smaller. Allow your body and your mind to keep resting, ever more intimate. And keeping your awareness inward and quiet. Imagine breathing from that tiny space where the stone dropped down into the water is resting. Just breathing into this tiny space just in front of the sacrum. So gently that you don't move the water. Into this inner region of the body. What sort of commitment, your deepest needs for safety, your deepest needs for assurance or connection, what might be needed here? Something tangible that you actually can provide. And you can gently wiggle your toes and your fingers. Please bend one knee at a time. Roll to your side. When you're ready to, please take a seat for meditation. And my recommendation for your meditation seat this morning is that when you come to your seat, you also kind of check, what kind of ease the physical sequence might be providing, and what is the pelvic floor experience when you come to sit here. What to experience at the femurs right here. How grounded or steady are the legs? For those of you who don't have long arms, here is a little trick for the arms for meditation. You rest the elbows on your cool little blanket. It also gives a sense of the weight on the femurs. It's not that much weight, of course, but a sense of grounding to the lowest third of your pyramid position. During this meditation, it's a short period of meditation. I'm going to ask you to keep your attention resting down at the second chakra. That's where the stone came down to the sacrum in Shavasana. So let your attention rest there. And again, try to sense in that place, in the second chakra, the element is water. Try to sense it's neither now inner nor outer, neither self nor other. Please bring your hands together at your heart. You can sing with me if you like. We'll do this 3 times. So hum sa so hum sa so hum sa hum saha means I am, that I am. It means we are all that is, all that has been, and all that will be. We are all that is, all that has been, and all that will be. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.